said in lines of anxious determination, but this relaxed for a moment when he saw me. He paused, and a tinge of warmth touched his eyes. Mother Claire, he said, I hadn't, though clearly I should have, expected you. His glance swept past me, taking in the open doorway behind me, the fine, heavy door and the long, broad hallway beyond, lined with Brianna's sketches and paintings. I know, I said, smiling. It gives you a bit of a turn when you see someone out of place, so to speak. The corner of his mouth twitched briefly. So to speak, he said, at once acknowledging and dismissing the circumstances in which he had been accustomed to seeing me as Lord John's wife. And as quickly as it had come, the warmth disappeared and his jaw set again. Jamie was waiting at the door of his study. William had just set foot on the threshold when Fanny spoke behind him. William, she said, her voice clear but uncertain. He turned to look back, surprised, but then smiled and stepped back on the porch, reaching to take her hands. Frances, he said softly, looking down at her. There you are. Here I am, she said, smiling up. She blushed when he turned to her, but her brown eyes sparkled. Shall I take care of your horse for you? Oh. He glanced down the steps. The horse, a big, muscular, dark bay, was munching grass beside the path, his reins carelessly looped over the hitching rail. William glanced at me, and I made a tiny nod in Fanny's direction. That's most kind of you, Frances, he said, and squeezed her hands briefly before letting go. His name is Trajan, and I'm sure he will be as grateful for your welcome as I am. She turned at once and skipped down the steps, glowing. William looked after her, the smile still on his face. I nearly said, how you've grown, Frances, he remarked sotto voce to me, but that wouldn't have done, would it? I always hated it when Papa's friends would say that to me. It would have gone over like a lead balloon, I assured him. She has, though. Her speech is nearly perfect now. I glanced over my shoulder. Jamie had gone into the study. And, how is Lord John these days? I wish I knew, he said, face and voice both suddenly bleak. He took a deep breath and walked past me down the hall. I didn't know whether I ought to be present at whatever conversation he was about to have with Jamie, but neither of them had shut the door, so I walked quietly in and went at once to the cupboard where the visitor's tray was kept, a plain pewter object, but equipped with several shot glasses, a bottle of fairly good whiskey, and a jug of water. Jamie met my eyes, but didn't say anything as I set the tray down. He put a glass in front of William, poured it for him, and said casually, Aye, so it's concerning life. Is Lord John, sir? Yeah, Jamie said, with somewhat more force than Fanny had used. He drew a deep breath through his nose. Where is he? And sit down, my lord, he added, nodding to a chair. I don't know. William sat down, adding, don't call me that. Then adding a hasty, if you please, sir, as an afterthought. Jamie raised one brow. Do you ken where his lordship is, Mr. Ransom? He asked politely. No, goddammit, if I knew where he was, I would have got him back by now. The outburst startled us all, including William, who pressed his lips together. I beg your pardon, sir, he said stiffly. I have been searching for his lordship for some time, for months. I am somewhat, he made a brief gesture indicating emotional disturbance, lack of sleep, and or deep fear, and Jamie nodded. They'll manger, he said in good French. I expect so. I suppose it wouldn't be helpful to ask where you saw him last? No, William said dryly. He nearly got himself back under control, though, and helped the process along with a slug of whiskey. Though for what it's worth, I last saw him in the drawing room of his house in Savannah, 3 months ago. Later in the day after I'd left, he received a written message, and whatever it said, it apparently caused him to go immediately to the docks. The cook told me. She was present when he got the message, he added, but she didn't see what it said or whom it was from. Did he tell the cook he was going to the docks? I asked, and he shook his head. No, but he did go there. A whelk seller on one of the quays said she'd seen a fair-haired man in a good coat with a soldier's queue who'd asked her if there was a ship called Palace in the harbor. But if you didn't know he was going to the docks, why did you look for him there? I took the bottle and poured a bit more whiskey all round. This was clearly going to take some time. Willie gave me a slightly odd look, as though he might ask me to leave the room, but instead took another mouthful and swallowed it. Are either of you familiar with a man named Percival Wainwright? Or for that matter, the Chevalier Saint-Honoré? Jamie looked blank, but I felt a light, cold touch on the back of my neck, like the caress of a ghost. Yes, I said. Lord John mentioned him once or twice. He was John's stepbrother, I think he said. His name isn't Percival, though, it's Perseverance. And Perseverance? Jamie leaned forward, interested. The Quaker, is it? William cleared his throat and looked down. Definitely not, he said. He's dead, though, I told Jamie, and William looked up at me. He is now, he said. Half an hour later, the whiskey bottle was empty, but all three of us were stone cold sober. There was a ball of cold red in the pit of my stomach. According to William, Perseverance Wainwright was dead, and Lord John was missing, kidnapped by a man named Richardson. Oh, so Percy had said before dying messily, poisoned on the hearthrug in Lord John's house. Jamie rubbed a hand hard over his face, opened his eyes, and looked at me, one eyebrow raised. Is it possible, he said? William's lips pressed tight together, and he made a noise that might have been a stifled snort. I shouldn't be surprised that you think me a liar, sir, but ask yourself why I should tell you such a tale, or why I should be here. I have been, Jamie said frankly. Asking myself, and now I'm asking my wife. Possible, yes, I said, trying not to show just how disturbing that possibility was. John's brother, the Duke, sent me a note last year asking me what herbs I'd recommend for the extermination of pests. I wasn't sure he was serious, but I've never known Hal to make jokes. Jamie made a noise that was definitely a storm. It was Grace with a sense of humor, he said, very cynical. But you're right, he doesn't make jests or play with words like his brother. So did you answer him? I did, I said, exchanging stares with him. On the basis of what I knew was growing in Savannah at the time, I told him that an alcoholic extract of foxglove would be poisonous, but he should take care in using it. I thought that he might be intending to use it on mice or rats, I added defensively. There are mice in most houses in Savannah, and cockroaches. Both of them snorted. I ignored this. But do you actually think Hal intended to poison someone? A person, I mean? Or Percy specifically? God only knows. William closed his eyes briefly, and I saw how tired he was. His young face lined and smeared with the grime of long riding. He summoned his strength, though, and straightened. I don't care how or why he died at Lord John's house. He came to tell me where Lord John was, and why. And Jamie glanced at me, then fixed his gaze on William. So his lordship is, to the best of your knowledge, being held aboard a ship called Palace, in the hands of a man called Richardson, whom you ken yourself as a right bastard that's tried to kill you more than once, and now he said he means to kill Lord John? Yes. But you didn't ken why. William rubbed his hands hard over his face and shook his head. I told you what bloody Wainwright told me. How would I know whether it's the truth? It sounds. Flung out his hands in a violent, hopeless gesture. Jamie and I exchanged a quick glance. How indeed. It sounded like insanity to William. It sounded much worse to me and to Jamie. Jamie cleared his throat, set both hands on his vest. I suppose that bit doesn't really matter, whether we believe it or not. The only thing to do is find where his lordship is and give him back. It was said so simply that I smiled, despite the situation, and William's shoulders dropped a little. You make it sound so easy, he said. His voice was dry, but the note of strain in it had gone. How long have you been on the road, lad? Don't call me lad, William said automatically. 3 months, more or less, looking for Lord John, for my uncle. I can't find him either. Well, 24 hours will not alter your prospects of finding either one. Eat, wash, and rest now. We'll lay our plans tomorrow. What do you mean to tell them, he nodded toward the window, that I am? A lot of them saw me, and Francis knows. Jamie leaned back a little, looking at his son. His son? And I felt, rather than saw, the warmth that touched him at the thought. You didn't have to say who you are. It caught William's skeptical glance at his face. We'll say you're my cousin Murtaugh's lad, if you like. That's a repetition. I'm done with lies, William said abruptly, and shut his mouth. William gave him a long, thoughtful look and nodded. There's no way back from the truth, Ken. I don't have to speak Scotch, do I? Pay money to see it try, but no. And if anyone asks, I said, trying to be reassuring. There are Scots Sassenach, he said. Everyone will ask. They just may not ask us. Music was beginning to gather, fiddlers and drummers and zitherers coming down from the woods. There would be dancing as soon as it grew dark. Come with me, William, I said. I'll find you some food. Took a breath that went down to the soles of his boots and stood up. Thank you, sir, he said to Jamie, bowing slightly. Surely you needn't go on calling him sir, I said, glancing from one man to the other. Not now. He does, Jamie said dryly. All the other things he might call me are things he can't, or won't. Sir will do. Flicking a hand in dismissal of the matter, he rose from his chair, grimacing slightly at the effort needed to do it without bracing himself with his hands. You know, William said in a conversational tone, there was a time when you called me sir. He didn't wait to see if there was a response to this, but went out and down the hall toward the kitchen, his steps light on the boards. Why, you little bastard, I said. Though I was more amused than shocked, and so was Jamie from the twitch at the corner of his mouth. Fine thing to say to someone who just asked for help. Well, I suppose it depends who you say it to. Jamie lifted one shoulder and dropped it. He was 6 the last time I called him that.